morning, everybody. Welcome to the second meeting of the Charlotte Economic Recovery Task Force Airport Working Group. I'd like to start today's meeting by doing a roll call. So if you make sure that you're unmuted, I'm just going to call out names, and if you would say here so that the clerk can get attendance. So I'm Ed Driggs, City Council District 7, your host today. Mr. Eggleston.
Yes, sir. Good morning.
Mr. Newton.
Here.
Ms. Watlington.
Present.
Mr. Bennett.
Here.
Ms. Gaithers.
Good morning. Present.
Ms. Zapata Griffith.
Present.
Mr. Harris. Mr. Harris. I see him on the list, but he's not audible right now. Yolanda Johnson.
Good morning.
Hello. Ms. Sweeney.
Good morning, here.
Mr. Stoltz.
Yes, I'm here. Thank you.
Mr. Cagle.
Present. Good morning.
Ms. Gentry. I saw you. Haley.
Good morning.
Hi. I believe Tracy Montross from American Airlines is also with us today. Good morning, Tracy.
Good morning, sir.
And so as you're aware, our agenda today is to talk about the concessionaires. I wanted to mention first, this meeting is being streamed. It's on Charlotte's Facebook account, it's on our government channel, and it's on our YouTube page. And the public, if you're watching, you're encouraged to submit questions or comments to the task force by emailing us at airporttaskforce@charlottenc.gov. airporttaskforce@charlottenc.gov. So again, today we're talking about concessionaires and the relationships between the airport, the two principal concessionaires, and the tenants. I think you know from what we've heard previously that the structure of these relationships is there are two principal lessees at the airport, Paradies and Host. Paradies operates retail stores and Host does food and beverage. So we're very pleased to have representatives of both of those organizations here today to talk about their situation at the airport. And after that, the goal is to have concessionaires who are actually on the call and members of our task force talk a bit about their situation and their experience, and I'm hoping that we can have a conversation about what possibilities there are for us to achieve what it is we've set out to do, which is make recommendations to the City Council for a smooth recovery. So with that, I'd like to hand over to Greg Paradies, President and CEO of Paradies Lagardère. Greg, good morning.
Good morning. Councilman, how are you doing?
I'm well, thank you. I hope you are.
Yes, I am. Thank you. Thanks. Well, appreciate the opportunity to speak today to your working group here today. So my name is Greg Paradies. I'm President and CEO of Paradies Lagardère. So once again, we appreciate the opportunity to be here today. Renee Tedesco, our Vice President of Business Development, is on the call as well. And when we get to Q&A, I will take the easy questions and give her the hard questions. Really, my agenda for 10 minutes, I understand I have approximately 10 minutes, is to give you first a brief introduction of our company. Number two, more specifically, address our business at CLT, which has been a great partnership. And then number three is review at a high level what I call our ramp-up plan as traffic returns to CLT, hopefully in the not-too-distant future. So once again, that's going to be a high-level look at that ramp-up plan in partnership with the airport team. So just a quick company introduction. Our company, Paradies Lagardère, operates in over 100 airports in North America, both retail and dining. We operate over 60 brands on the retail side of the business and over 60 brands on the dining side of the business as well. I've been in the business for 32 years. It's been a long, and the last month seems like 5 years in itself, but it's a great industry. I will tell you, we successfully navigated through 9/11. We successfully navigated through the Great Recession. But what we're experiencing now, this coronavirus impact is much, much, much more severe than anything we've ever seen. To weather the storm, to tell you how severe it's been, to weather the storm, we've had to take action we've never had to take before just to get through it. And once again, it's been some very painful action, which I know my friends at HMSO have had to do as well. We've had to furlough over 7,000 of our team members, about 75% of our team over the last 6 weeks or so. All salary associates have taken 30 to 50% pay cuts. Once again, we've taken unprecedented action just so we could very honestly meet our payroll every 2 weeks. It's it's about saving every dollar every day so we can meet our payroll. And it is, that severe even for a big company like ours. Also, I want to share with you, we have received nothing since we are a big company from the CARES Act, and our ACDB partners can address, what if they can apply for anything. I cannot comment on that, but just to be clear, we have received nothing, and we expect to receive nothing from the CARES Act, and that's of course why these partnerships with the airports are so important. Just an update on our relationship at CLT. It's been a great partnership, one we're very proud of and very appreciative of. Of course, during the tough times and crises like this, partnerships are challenged, but I will tell you very honestly, we've been very pleased with the conversations we've had with the CLT team, recognizing the same level of collaboration that we've had over the years. And of course, now is even more important as we try to weather this storm, which we know is not easy for any of the parties involved. In regard to the structure at CLT, we are the master concessionaire. Paris Lagardère, as the councilman shared, is a master concessionaire for the retail concessions at CLT. We are responsible for 60 total locations. Paris Lagardère operates 31 of those 60 locations. Then we sublease out the other 29 spaces, both 100% ACDB companies and other brands which have ACDB joint venture relationships. So for the sake of time today, I'm going to focus more on the 100% ACDB companies. I know some of them are going to speak. I did want to make it clear, all subleasees to our company is basically a pass-through. So the master concession lease we signed many years ago, all the terms cascade down to all of our subleasees, exactly the same for us. And the rent they pay us simply passes through our company to be paid to the airport. So it's simply a pass-through arrangement. And in regard to the 100% owned ACDB companies who we sublease to, I want to make it very clear, they own and operate their stores 100%. They put in the capital, 100% of the capital. They hopefully get profits, which they get 100% of profits, but they also have the risk of 100% of the losses. And that's, of course, what we're facing today. As a master concessionaire, we provide a great deal of support to help them be successful, because if they're successful, we are successful. So we provide many things to them, including access to our vendors and pricing. What does that mean? They could buy from the same vendors we buy from at the same terms as we buy from. Of course, leveraging the scale of our company, they would get much better pricing with our pricing than what a small company could get if they were buying on their own. Number two, we share our best practices, what I call our playbook, every month as far as what our strategy is from a promotional standpoint, a store layout standpoint. We share that, but bottom line, they could do what they want to do with it. And at CLT, once again, we have great local partners, very proud of them. They operate at a very high standard, so it's a very high level of collaboration that goes in. In addition, we support any of their building or remodeling projects. When I say support them, we help them, decide, what may be best for their stores as far as remodeling, but they make the final decision as long as it adheres to our lease terms. And then we provide any other guidance they ask for. And once again, these are good operators. They've operated very successfully up to this point at CLT. Yet, today's is a new normal, as we all know. And then I want to add, as opportunities have presented themselves, both at CLT and beyond, we've been able to expand our ACDB partners into other airports where they are our partners in other airports. And also we've helped to connect them with brands. Examples at CLT, some of the national brands have now joint ventured with our local partners in addition to their 100% owned stores. So really it's been a win-win program, something we're very proud of, and it's really epitomizes what this ACDB program is supposed to be about. Of course, with small businesses, and these ACDB companies are small businesses for the most part, the virus impact has been devastating, just like it has been with us. And of course, in many cases, this is their only source of income. So it is very, very severe, particularly when their stores are closed down or even when their stores are open. Many of the stores that are open now at CLT are loss leaders, but they need to be open to provide service to your travelers. And that's our commitment as a master concessionaire, is to continue to provide service to your travelers, even though they're fewer travelers. And, whether, just going back to the ACB companies, I cannot comment on whether they're getting money from the government. I'd say it's going to be difficult because in many cases they've reduced their headcount down, in some cases zero if the stores are closed, but once again, I will let them comment on that. And as master concessionaire, we are responsible, for the rent every month. And if our subleasees, example, our ACDB partners or our brands sublease partners do not pay the rent, we are responsible for that rent. And very honestly, we're not in a position now to subsidize their rent because, we're trying, once again, just to meet our payroll every 2 weeks, and that's the honest to goodness truth. Lastly, in regard to our ramp-up plan at CLT, when traffic picks up, hopefully sooner versus later, we will partner with the airport, just like we have with the ramp-down plan, where we work very closely, collaboratively with the airport to make sure CLT travelers still have service, because that's our commitment to the airport, is we're going to provide service. So today we operate 19 out of the 60 stores are open. Many of them are loss leaders, but once again, they're needed to service the travelers. And today at CLT, we employ about 55% of our team has been furloughed, and the other 45% are manning the stores that are open today. So at a high level, as we look at the ramp-up plan at CLT, first and foremost, once again, we're going to partner with the airport, understand where the traffic is coming to, and making sure the essential services, which on the retail side of the business, essential services, what we call travel essentials, or commonly known as newsstands, need to be open in those areas to service the traveler. So that's first and foremost the number one priority. And then the specialty brands will open as traffic ramps up over time. But that is less important to the traveler than the travel essentials are. So once again, that will be the priority as we partner with the CLT leadership team. And once again, Brent, Haley, Ted, Jennifer have been great partners of us. The city has been a great partner of ours since 2010, and we look forward to the future, though our current situation, once again, is very, very difficult, but I know we're going to get through it together. So once again, thank you for the opportunity to speak today, and we'll be happy to answer any questions whenever appropriate.
Let's take questions now. If you raise your hand, I assume everybody knows how to raise your hand on the computer screen by hitting the little head in the middle of the row of icons, and that will signify, and we'll call on you. I don't see hands going up. So, Greg, I think you covered everything.
Lucia had her hand up, Mr. Driggs.
Oh, I'm sorry. I guess I don't have the whole list up here. Lucia, go ahead.
Yes, thank you. One quick question. Of the 19 stores open, how many are ACDBEs?
Yes, that's a good question. I'm not sure if we have that. Let me see. I may have that information. Hold on one second. If you give me 1 second. I know Renee's on the call. Renee, do you have that information? I could check my box. Hold on 1 second. Okay, I'll tell you, 14 of the 19 stores are operated by Paradiso Gardere, and then the subs operate 5 of them. So pretty much a proportion to the number of stores. But I think the most important point here is the stores that are open are the ones where there's traffic. So the last thing we want anybody to open up a store when there's no traffic, so you incur unnecessary costs.
Mr.
So hopefully
Driggs.
that answers your question. So
Thank you.
That is as of today, and once again, this is a fluid process. As flights come back, certain stores may reopen, certain stores may reclose, so it's a very fluid process.
Mr. Driggs, this is
Yes.
Brent Cagle. I do have a comment related to that question. At this point, and for the last 6 weeks, as COVID crisis, sort of onset of the crisis, as Mr. Parody stated, there are obligations in both the Parodies and the host contracts to gain, if you will, airport approval for closures of stores or for modifications of hours. In the midst of this crisis, the airport has basically granted blanket authority to both Parodies and Host and all of their sub-concessionaires to make adjustments to their business models as appropriate for their business. So we are not requiring them to maintain certain hours or even storefronts. We believe that they're closest to the business and able to best make that decision. Now, I will tell you, and Michelle Torres, who is our Business Diversity Programs Manager, you may want to have her speak more to this. We do still have the same federal DBE or ACDBE requirement. That has not changed in the midst of this crisis. And so, as Mr. Parodies said, we are working closely with them as they plan their recovery to make sure that there is a balance in the recovery of what I'm going to call prime operated storefronts, and this is true on the host and parody side, and sub-concessionaire storefronts or ACDBE storefronts. But again, we're very sensitive to the business, and we understand that at the end of the day, this is a business, and those decisions have to be made based on what the business can support. So at this point, the airport has given blanket authority to make those business decisions as the owner-operator sees fit.
Thank you, Brent. And I do want to go to Michelle. I'd just like to comment for context here. I sent out yesterday to everybody in the working group and on my mail list a spreadsheet that Haley prepared showing kind of what the numbers are and some highlights. And I think it's fair to characterize the leases as being profit-sharing arrangements where a share of the profits of the concessions, whether operated by Parodies or by the ACDBEs, are paid to the airport. And then there are various provisions for contingencies in there and other requirements. So that is the context in which we're now looking at the impact of this shortfall that has occurred. So it is important to have a little bit of an understanding of the mechanics of those commercial relationships in order to be able to figure out what should change under these conditions. Because obviously these leases were not written with a situation like this in mind. Thank you for reminding me. I do want to have Michelle, if she would, just explain to us, since there may be people on the call who don't know, what the federal requirements are and what an ACDBE is. Are you there, Michelle?
I'm here. Good morning, everyone. I'm Michelle Torres. I'm the Business Diversity Programs Manager for the airport. And so I'm just going to give some background information about the ACDBE program and the requirements and how it operates at CLT. So ACDBE stands for Airport Concessions Disadvantaged Business Enterprise. and it is a federally mandated program for airports. It was created to break down barriers and level the playing field, primarily for minority and women-owned firms for concessions, airport concessions opportunities. And I believe Haley may have touched on the criteria to be an ACDBE firm at the last meeting, but I'm just going to go over it really quick again for the purpose of today's meeting. So in order to be a certified ACDBE firm, the firm must be 51%, at least 51% owned by socially and or economically disadvantaged individual, and that individual must demonstrate that they exercise ownership and control of the company. So it can't just be on paper. When they go through the certification process, they do have to demonstrate that they are making the major decisions and they are involved in all of the operating of the company. Personal net worth cannot exceed more than $1.32 million, and the firm's gross receipts based on the previous 3 fiscal years cannot exceed $56.42 million. Eligible firms do not have to be local. So if any of you are familiar with the Charlotte Business Inclusion Program, to be certified through that program, firms must be doing business in the Charlotte statistical area. For the DBE and ACDBE programs, that is not a requirement. Firms can be located anywhere in the U.S. As long as they get certified in their home state first. They can get certified in North Carolina as long as they meet the other requirements as well. So concession opportunities as defined under the program are essentially passenger-facing services, and they can be inside and outside of the terminal. So that includes food and beverage, retail, advertising, parking services, and rental car services. And each concession service area has its own ACDBE contract goal that is required to be met. So for example, HMS Host has a 20% ACDBE goal, which means that 20% of the revenue that they generate at CLT must be generated by ACDBE firms. And likewise, Parity's goal is 26%, and it works the same way. The other concession types, they have goals based on goods and services that are expended, and all of that is detailed in the federal regulations. So in addition to the contract goal that we have for the concessions, the airport also has an overall ACDBE goal that we have to meet each year. Our annual goal is set on a 3-year basis. So essentially every 3 years, we go through a process that is detailed in the federal guidelines, and we set an annual goal for the next 3 years. And that goal, the airport needs to meet that goal each year within that time frame. That is detailed in the federal guidelines. I just want to talk another minute about the structure of the ACDBE program as it relates to food and beverage and retail, because I know that's primarily what we're discussing today. ACDBE firms that are contracted, they're contracted and they operate directly under HMS Host and Parities as sub-concessionaires. So at CLT, we have ACDBE firms that manage and operate 100% of their services and their location in the terminal. And then we also have other firms who participate as part of joint ventures with larger companies, where they're performing a portion of the work or percentage of the work in addition to the representatives of the other company. So we have locations like Body Shop, Mac, Minute Sweets. Those are all joint ventures between an ACDBE firm and the named company. The majority of the sub-concessionaires at CLT manage and operate their spaces 100%. All of the requirements for this program are federally defined, and it's the responsibility of my team to administer these requirements in accordance with those guidelines. And that includes continuously monitoring participation and new opportunities that may arise, and a whole lot of other things as well. And we utilize the federal regulations and guidelines to administer this program. So everything we do is in accordance with those guidelines. And as Brent had stated a few minutes ago, the FAA has not changed any of the requirements for the program. any of the guidelines around the program in relation to meeting goals or administering the program to change with COVID-19, with the situation that we're going through. So we are continuing to administer the program as usual, and we'll still be expected to meet our ACDBE goal for the federal fiscal year.
That it? Thank you,
More than
Michelle.
happy to answer any questions as it's appropriate.
I don't see any hands up, right? Yes, I do. Seth Bennett?
Good morning. Thanks, Ed. Greg, thank you for your time this morning. Quick question for you. Of the retail locations that you operate and manage, do you have the capability to do any type of surveying with customers to get sentiment and feedback, either in your typical operating or certainly in this time?
Yes, we could. Yes, we absolutely could. And, we are, I mean, just some anecdotal, feedback is, and this is more, not so specific to CLT, but just within North America is obviously there are a lot fewer travelers. Travelers are more stressed than ever, but they're very appreciative of the service we are providing. And just for your information, we are giving additional discounts to the really the heroes, the health workers and these the people who really work in the hospitals today. So we've added that. We are also paying hazard pay to our associates in the stores, just since they are more at risk, being in an airport or being in a public setting. But the answer is yes, we could do surveys, and overall, the customers are, very appreciative, and they're very focused on getting to their gate quickly. So they're not as apt to shop and browse as they would do typically. We could definitely do surveys. Thank you for the question.
Thank you.
Good. Seeing no other questions, is there another hand up? Lucia.
Ed, this is Rachel Rose.
Okay, go ahead. Yeah. Rachel?
Oh, go ahead. You wanted Lucia?
Well, no, that's all right. You go ahead. I'll get to Lucia then next.
Okay. Michelle, this is Rachel. Good morning. How are you? I just wanted to ask for the sake of the task force and those members of the task force who don't live and breathe, airport retail and dining every single day, if you might be able to break down the ACDBE numbers just a little bit more, just for context, since our group is local and focused on how we make recommendations for the local business owners here. Can you break down of the 29 retail and the 29 retail and the 23 food, how many of those are wholly owned and operated by a local business owner? Thank you.
Yes, I don't have the numbers right in front of me, but if you give me a few minutes, I can pull them. In total, we have 20 ACDBE firms that are split between local firms and firms that are not local to the Charlotte area. But for the breakdown, as far as the locations are concerned, I can grab that in just a minute.
Thank you.
I think it's worth noting that the information we have indicates that there are, in fact, 29 of the retail firms with parities, and we also need to hear from hosts where there are 23. So there are 52 total, but each one of those concessions is not a separate business. So in the slideshow you got last time, you saw that there were 20 businesses that operate those 52 those individual concessions. And Michelle, maybe if you could follow up and give us a little more of the breakdown that Rachel asked for, that would be helpful. Lucia.
I had the same question. Thank you.
Good. So thank you, Michelle. And maybe we should have had that clarification up front, but I hope everybody now understands the role of the federal government, the requirement for the ACDBEs. And it's worth also noting, if you look at the terms of these contracts, the two principal concessionaires basically operate their own businesses at the airport and they perform a kind of service and administrative function, if that's a reasonable description, guys, where they collect rents which flow through to the airport, and they provide services to the ACDBEs, as well as operating their own businesses at the airport. So with that context established, what I'd like to do is go next to Daryl Benton, EVP for Business Development at HMS Host. And Daryl, I think you have some slides for us.
Yes, I don't know if you all have access or Haley and team will the slides be on the presentation. Excellent. Again, good morning. Joining me today will be my colleagues, Steve Douglas, who is Vice President and is on point for the Charlotte Airport for us. Also, my colleague, Ron Gomes, Vice President and responsible for our ACDBE program around the country. Now, my slides are showing upside down. Well, I don't know how your slides are showing.
Well, mine are sort of sideways. They're on the left edge. Can we rotate them clockwise 90 degrees?
We need a couple of minutes. Hold on. Or a minute, rather, or two.
Okay.
See if we can rotate.
I was trying to turn my head that way and
I'm getting a crick in my neck.
as a baby boomer, I'm getting used to this technology. It's really pushing me past my my time slot that I was planning to get all technically savvy here.
Daryl, did you like my high-tech presentation at Perry's Lagardère?
Greg, I think you took the safer route, that's for sure.
I just follow Haley's directions. I'm sorry.
I'm just glad I went. I'm just glad I went before Daryl, so he couldn't shut me up with these slides. I will help you later, Daryl, with your slides. How's that?
It's okay. I tell you, Councilman Driggs, if I can, I did want to recognize the other participating city council persons and the city officials, and of course, as Greg indicated, our partnership with your airport staff, Director Cable and Haley and Ted. It really is a great working group as we navigate airports around the country, and then all the citizens of Charlotte that are listening in today. So I could at least say good morning to everyone, and I can go ahead and proceed if you like. A team will wait to get the slides up.
I think, first of all, let me say I know the airport appreciates its relationship with Host, and we are all grateful for that as well. It is something that functions beautifully most of the time, and now we're trying to sort out these extraordinary circumstances. If you can, would you go ahead and start to talk, and we'll try to catch up with the slides so we don't lose too much time?
Sure, and I think the slides are there now, but I really wanted to start off really with a statement from our president and Councilman Driggs, as I indicated to you and Brent. Steve Johnson wanted to be here today, but he himself was hit with this COVID-19, and thank goodness he has turned the corner to full recovery. It really shook our company to know that our president, he never had to be hospitalized, but his testimony is quite telling in terms of the experience that he's endured. But he sends his regards, and with that, let me continue to move on. HMS Host, we, just for those of you who don't know our company, we are an international company. Our parent company is Auto Grill out of Milan, Italy, but Host International is a US-based corporation. We operate with over 122 years of experience, and we have over 1,600 restaurants, some 123 airports and motorways worldwide, and we operated some 300 restaurants in our portfolio. Ron Gomes will go over our ACDBE participation, but nationwide we have 115 partners, and prior to COVID-19, we were trending about a $3.3 billion company. I'm not doing well with the slides in terms of moving them forward, so I'm having a little difficulty, so I'll just keep moving. In North America, we do operate in Canada as well as the US. We're in every airport in these two countries. But we're one airport at a time. And Charlotte, our unique partnership with Charlotte affords us to really employ a lot of associates around both of these countries. Prior to COVID, we were trending some 30,000 associates. Today, those associates, probably 90% of them have been furloughed. We did not terminate or lay off anyone. We furloughed our associates so we could bring them back as soon as travelers come back. Working with Brent and team, we worked with the TSA so that associates, we could keep their badges and bring them back as quickly as possible and not have to deal with the badging issue. Let's look at the national trend line and what Greg and many of the things that Greg said, I would just say ditto in terms of the impact this has had. But look at the TSA data on the top chart, March last year, the orange line, and look what started happening March 6th, and the trend line will tie into the next bottom chart. Our trade association, ARRA, these are some sales numbers that are really telling, and they really mirror the TSA data. Look at January 2019, and you could see January 2020, we were celebrating a robust outlook for our industry. Sales were actually up from 723 million to 765, and this is all of us in our peer group, Herities, as well as others. You could see the impacts of February 19 and February 2020. When the media began to talk about COVID, you saw that uptick for 2020 level off immediately. And then March, you could see the wheels began to fall off the bus. Look at the 19 sales of 865 million and the sales in March, and then you can see April over 19 and April over 2020. Again, it mirrors the TSA data. Let's talk about the sales plummeting in terms of what's happening in Charlotte. Again, the blue line trend of what was happening in 2019. And again, you can see the red trend line of what's happening in 2020. Let me turn it over to Ron Gomes. Ron is our vice president, again, in charge of our small business program. And I wanted Ron to share with you the impacts that we're seeing for our small businesses, particularly for Charlotte. Ron?
Thank you, Daryl. Can you all hear me?
Yes.
Excellent, thank you. I'm sorry, technology befell me today and I had to dial in on my phone, so I'm not seeing the screen. However, if you could take the ACDBE sales decline screen and turn it upside down, I will tell you a much happier story. Unfortunately, I can't. In April of 2019, our DBE generated $2.6 million in revenue. We're extraordinarily blessed. We have 10 ACDBE subtenants operating 20 brands across 24 locations. I do know there was a question asked. 19 of those 24 locations are 100% owned and operated by local ACDBEs. So I did want to get that in front of you. Unfortunately, April of this year, the DBEs collectively did $508,000 in sales. So their trend line is not quite as steep in a downward direction as ours. We were down over 90%. Our DBEs kept half of the locations open at least for part of the month, and we're down 80%. So the one bright side to this is our DVE participation went up to over 40% during the month of April. This is probably due to the fact that the DVE style of operation is more COVID-19 friendly than a lot of the locations host operates, the large locations where people are clustered close together. So our DVEs have done a really great job of continuing service in the airport. My main role, if you go to the next slide, is to support our DVEs and to make sure, that they're going to be with us the end of this year and beyond. A lot of them are in precarious initiatives at the VP overseeing strategic alliances function at Host is to make sure that funding innovations and monies are available for our DB partners. So most of my days lately are spent combing through the CARES Act, looking for angles for our DBs to play to get money. Host did not apply for any of the SBA funding. We spoke internally. We decided that those were meant to be targeted to smaller businesses, less than 500 employees. So Host as a prime did not go after any of that money, but we have encouraged our DBEs to do so. And a lot of them have made application and are trying to get that funding. We support them in many ways. In a normal situation, we have a revenue optimization team that shares best practices. I report to the general counsel of HMS Host. The legal department oversees a lot of the activities related to our DBEs free of charge. We ensure all the leases and agreements are reviewed and correct. And the legal department advises the other host departments, such as business development, on issues that impact the ACDBE. Locally in Charlotte, our operations team has been having quarterly meetings with our DB partners. We'll talk about airline traffic shifts, impacts. We've done a lot of construction in the airport over the last couple of years. There's been a lot of coordination that's had to go on between host locations and DBE locations to make sure the customers are served. One aspect of our program is every DBE dollar is generated through subleases. So those sublease locations, that because they're not joint ventures, they don't ebb and flow together. So you'll see spikes upward and downward in the ACDB participation numbers depending on where the traffic is occurring in the airport and where the construction is going on. But that requires a lot of coordination with our operations locally, so they have those quarterly meetings to make sure we're on track. We also share best practices, safe food handling, cash handling, loss prevention. Again, all those management training, anything we offer to our managers, we offer to our DBE's managers, and that's free of charge. The only thing we have any kind of charge on is on support for design and construction, because we have to pay for that ourselves. So we recently contracted with our third-party outside project management firm to provide additional PM and CM services to our subtenants. They don't bill quite as frequently as we do, and the additional help will make for smoother processes going forward. And with that, I'll be happy to answer any questions when we're done, but right now I'll turn it back over to Gerald Penn. Thank you.
Thank you, Ron. And if you would, go back to Ron's first slide for me, because I do want to answer one of the questions that councilperson asked. When we speak of the ACDBE policy, and I was fortunate, Councilman Drigg, I started my career in Orlando Airport, where I was the DBE coordinator back in the 90s. But when you look to the right of Ron's slide, our small business partners are your local entrepreneurs. And I thought one of the questions, aside from Nava, who runs the Panera, and we have a national partnership with Nava, and he is Panera's ACDE partner, so therefore host partners with him. We'll call him a national ACDE, not based in Charlotte. Of course, Ms. Lee Johnson recently purchased some franchises of Burger King. Again, a very successful family-owned business started in Florida. But again, she has taken on a national role as second generation. Her brother and heard it from her father and mother. But all the other small entrepreneurs are Charlotte-based, and you see their brands as well as their names. So hopefully, as we navigate with Brent and Haley over the months ahead, what you do for your prime operators, you will be doing for your small business partners. The other thing that Ron is doing, Councilman Drake, and you asked me, he's beginning to survey all of our small businesses, do a deep dive in with their bandwidth. Brent, Mr. Cagle gave a presentation last week. And by the way, I applaud him. Many airport leaders have not allowed us to really peek into their business, and Brent did that for us. He gave you 3 scenarios, a quick bounce back that could happen as quick as a vaccine is found or travelers decide to navigate through airports. And that could be as quick as, this summer, based on what we're hearing. And if this thing comes back in the fall and the winter, Brent also gave us a more realistic scenario that employments could be at 70% come January 2020. And then he gave us that worst scenario. So we're trying to now speak with all of our partners and to see if they can survive this industry. And we'll be coming back to Michelle, Haley, and Mr. Cagle to really give them that report to see who can sustain this cycle. I would like to ask Steve Douglas quickly before I do my last slide to just give us a quick overview of our unique relationship. It will pivot a little bit what Mr. Parody's covered. But Steve Douglas, would you share with the citizens and the council our unique contractual relationship with Charlotte? Steve?
Yes, thank you, Derek. Thank you, Derek. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah. Oh, great. Okay, so I'll be brief, but we have a very unique situation, a unique contractual situation in Charlotte that I believe makes it one of the best concession programs in the country, and that is the profit sharing arrangement. But first, we both host and our ACDBE partners all pay a fixed space rental. So that is a percentage, a per square foot charge for all the real estate that we occupy. Second, our ACDBE partners pay the greater of a minimum rent or a percentage rent, which is 15.5% of revenues. And that is a more traditional type model across the country. Where it gets really unique and I think exceptional is that HMS Host, for the units that it operates, pays 50% of all profits earned to the airport. And that really helps align the goals and objectives of the airport and the concessionaires, and it has resulted in a fantastic program. So that's the contractual relationship in a nutshell. Thank you, Daryl.
Thank you, and Councilman, and our last slide, if you can go to the last slide. Simply stated, and Greg, I will piggyback, this is historical. 7 weeks ago, we had some 1,365 local citizens working with us at Charlotte. We have furloughed almost 1,200. Again, allowing those associates to apply for any federal assistance. And these are the things that we're doing operationally. I won't read them. You have the deck in front of you and things we're doing in the community. We did just receive, Brent, some news from Antonio that today there's some 10,000 booked employment flights. That's good news. And tomorrow there's some 12,000 showing bookings. So if that holds true, that's probably the best news we've had in 7 weeks. So with that, Councilman Driggs, I'll close out my presentation and answer any questions my colleagues Steve and Ron and I. Thank you all so much.
Thank you, Daryl. Looking for any hands that are raised. Not seeing any. I want to say, Steve, you're something of a celebrity on this call as one who has actually had the COVID experience, and we're so happy to have you here and sounding as if you're on the mend. So congratulations. I want now to close the loop by talking to a couple of the sub-concessionaires that we have here on the call. And Ms. Johnson, I noticed that you were actually on that slide. Can you give us some comments on the situation as you're experiencing it?
Yes, Ed, thank you. First, I want to thank you to both Parodies and HMS Hosts. They have been solid partners throughout the years, and I just wish they had pulled out that crystal ball and told us what was coming around the corner here with COVID-19. That would have been a great help. But here we are, extremely challenged, I must say. If you hear Parodies and HMS Hosts talking about how challenged they are, you can only imagine what it's like going through as a small business. But quickly, let me just give you a background on SB&J. Family-owned business. We operate on both the food and beverage side as well as the retail side. Food and beverage, we have 3 restaurants, 2 kiosks. On the retail side, we have one travel essential store, which is your typical gift and news candy store, and 1 specialty store. Pre-COVID-19, we had 113 employees over both divisions, and we were looking to hire more. And we were using 40 local suppliers, mostly on the retail side at our gift and news store where we proudly feature local artisans. And that's kind of the background of SB&J and our concepts. Since COVID-19, we've had to lay off 100 employees. And let me say this. Many concessionaires have had similar issues to SB&J, but where our primes talked about what a great year 2019 was, even 2019 was challenging for SB&J. I know our council members know that the capital improvement project that's going on at the airport with all the construction and expansion of concourses has caused some hardship for some of the concessionaires, especially SB&J on Concourse A. July of 2018, traffic was diverted from Concourse A in preparation for that construction, and it was 65% of the traffic was diverted from that concourse. So SB&J has been operating with a 65% reduction in traffic for a little over a year. Our first full month of operating was February. We were excited, as I said, hiring more people, and then a few weeks later, here's COVID-19. In addition, just kind of giving some things that differentiate SB&J's scenario from others that you've heard. Currently, which completely understandable, airlines are consolidating their operations. So currently, airlines are using concourses B, C, and E primarily. Again, Concourse A is not getting traffic. So if you compare Concourse A to 2019, we probably don't look as bad just because our benchmark year wasn't that good. So I may be one of the reasons that we're skewing that 81% that you saw on the graph a few minutes ago. Outside of protecting passengers and protecting our employees, the third priority is cash preservation. SB&J, after a couple of challenging bouts, just wants to get to the other side of this scenario, this pandemic. I mentioned that we're operating 2 locations, or I'm not sure. I think I told you we had only 13 employees. We're operating 2 locations. One is a Wendy's hamburger on Concourse A, where we're selling a very streamlined menu. And on Concourse C, which has also been impacted by construction over the last 4 to 5 months, and we've seen some decline there, but we're operating a travel essential store with 2 people. Things that keep me up at night, in addition to what we've already talked about, I'm concerned about, in addition to ramping up, I have to get PPE product. I'm worried about passengers. I'm worried about my employees. facility changes. I don't know what that's going to look like. One of our brand new locations, and we have some beautiful empty locations, is a bar, and the two kiosk locations are bars. What is that going to look like? I'm one of the few concessionaires at the Charlotte Douglas International Airport that has our own dining area. Most of the other locations owned by ACDBEs have food courts. So I have to worry about what does that look like? How do I design that, put up stanchions? I'm only going to probably be able to use half of the dining area, while I'm still obviously going to be paying fixed rent on the whole floor plan of the dining room. These are things that keep me up at night, and I'm sure there are a few others, but that just gives you in general kind of where we are today and our biggest concerns.
Thank you, Ms. Johnson. I'd like to also hear from Ms. Gaithers and Ms. Zapata Griffith. Ms. Gaithers?
Thank you. Similar to Yolanda Johnson, Gathers Enterprises, which is my family's company, we are on the retail side exclusively. So we partner with Parodies Lagardère. And as Yolanda mentioned, they have been a support for us during these very difficult times. And very similarly to HMS Host and Parodies Lagardère, our story is very similar, but also unique, and probably more in line to some of the things you heard Yolanda just speak about. So since since March of this year, we have seen a 90% decline in our total sales and revenue. We have furloughed almost 80% of our staff. And what keeps me up at night is most of my team has had to pursue other opportunities to earn a living. Recruiting and maintaining staff at the airport prior to COVID-19 was very challenging. I think if you ask anyone who owns and operates a business at the airport, you will hear the tremendous amount of stress related to maintaining staff. And so as I think about what we look like post-COVID-19, or as we come out of the difficult time, how am I going to recruit folks to come and work at the airport, and specifically within my store? That's going to be a very tough ask in terms of the type of compensation we will have to offer people to make a position at the airport be attractive. My team took a 25% cut in their pay. We made sure that they sustained the least amount. The ownership took an 80% cut in pay, again, to make sure that our team that's there on the, I'll use front lines loosely, but truly on the front lines, are able to maintain more of their well-being by doing so. And part of that was strategically done because as a company, we actually pay 95% of our team's health insurance. That's one of the unique benefits that we have offered since we opened in 1994. That wasn't something that we started during the Affordable Health Care Act. We've actually done that since 1994. But unfortunately, in April, everyone with Gathers Enterprises lost their health insurance. So another thing that keeps me up at night is if my team that's still on the front lines working in the store to service passengers with a smile, because they still offer that smile and that Southern hospitality that Brent Cagle often reminds us of how important that is and such a difference that we make here in Charlotte. They're doing it without health insurance of any kind, and that is concerning to our team. But again, with 90% revenue loss, we just simply cannot offer health insurance like we did before. Our company has not received any CARES Act funding. So similar to all the news stories that you guys hear every night on the national news and the local news, we are a local business, and there are other ACDB operators that are local businesses here who have not received any CARES funding, and we are one of them. I would probably conclude my thoughts with just as all of us in our either present positions or in past positions have earned a salary to maintain our well-being. The revenue that we generate at Queen City Gifts and News, which is our number one and only wholly owned operation, is my family's only source of income. So similar to someone who works at a local store or a local corporation who may have sustained furlough or loss of income, we are feeling those same effects here personally. And I think Yolanda made a great point about cash preservation. So as we look towards the airport and the traffic increasing, still having to maintain as much of a cash flow as possible will be critical to our survival, because as Brent pointed out in his better, best, and excellent 3 scenarios, even at a 40% revenue or 70% revenue, it's hard to meet all those obligations if you're only making 40 to 70% of what you used to make. So I think that's where I will conclude my thoughts. And thank you for allowing me to speak.
Thank you. Are there any questions? So I have a question. The Wall Street Journal reported, I think yesterday, that half of the people receiving federal assistance, unemployment assistance, are actually getting more money than they were in their jobs. And I have heard from others a concern about trying to get them back to work. Do you see that as an issue? I mean, are they able, excuse me, are they able to just not come back and continue to collect the bigger federal benefit?
I'll take a stab at that, Councilman Driggs. I think it depends on what position you had in your company and your pay rate. So, for example, a mid-level manager on average at the airport was probably earning enough money where the full unemployment benefit from the federal and the state would almost match what they are making remaining unemployed or furloughed. Versus an entry-level sales associate, which makes up, specifically at my store, makes up about, I'm going to say about 50% of my team are entry-level folks. They are not earning that full $900. They are earning something much lower than that. So I really just think it depends on who you are and where you fall within the spectrum of how long you've worked and what your wage was when you were working. But there definitely are some scenarios that you can make more money staying home. And again, it just adds to the difficult challenge of staffing to ask someone to put their life at greater risk for lesser pay. I'm not sure many people will say yes to that.
Well, that's what I thought. It seemed like that might be an issue in terms of trying to rebuild as this passes. Lucia Zapata Griffin, are you there?
I am here. How are you?
Good. How are you?
Well, here, very interested in what I hear, very familiar with a lot of the information shared. The only thing I want to say is CLT sounds like ground zero for what's happening with COVID. We are design builders, so we have done a lot of design and construction work at Charlotte Douglas. We also happen to have a little restaurant, so can experience that personally and see what the concessionaires at CLT are experiencing as well. Working at the airport is very challenging in normal circumstances because of security, access, operations, the hours that are required to work for contractors, for anybody supplying certain services. So we have seen the stop. It was a switch. It came off. All of a sudden, the work stopped completely at Charlotte Douglas from the local vendors and suppliers. The question I was asking earlier about how many of the ACDBEs are local is because we have experienced directly how their location and being a community partner trickles down to vendors, whether it's a contractor or their architects, which is a case that is in the case of our company. I mean, we've been in business since '97, so we have seen a lot of this progress. Having them stop affects a lot of people. They buy local in large quantities, I would say. They hire and support a lot of people. A lot of the people have gone through a lot of training to be able to operate on normal circumstances at the airport. So now with the new sanitation and COVID and protecting the passengers beyond what they were doing before affects them. Yolanda mentioned earlier about having dining spaces. Some of the concessions have no dining space, so they are affected in a different way. We have built some of their spaces where they, of course, depend on those seats for their sales. So even if they open, they will have to space a lot, which we see in our little restaurant as well. Their number of customers, even in the best of conditions, is going to be reduced for a very long time, if not permanently. So that's our experience as somebody who serves as the concessionaires at Charlotte Douglas, that they are very attached to the local community. And if we can keep that in mind, I appreciate the mention of some joint ventures as well. I don't know what the percentage is locally owned. We mainly work with the ones that are locally based. So I appreciate the efforts of City Council on focusing on the airport. We always say it's like a city within a city, and there are thousands of people affected by this situation. So thank you for the opportunity to participate.
Thank you very much. So we're about at a point where we need to wrap up now. Are there any questions for Lucia, by the way? Yes, I saw one hand come and go. No, I don't see any. Thank you very much.
Robert Soltis, Mr. Driggs.
Oh, okay, go ahead. Yeah, it came up and then it went away again. Go ahead.
Sorry, Councilman, I thought you were, I have a question, I guess, when we wrap up on the whole situation, not so much for Lucia. You tell me when you're ready.
Okay, I'm sort of getting to that. We do need to wrap up. One thing I would like to just sort of try to pull all this together with is, Brent, are you still there?
I am.
I just wanted to, very briefly, again, we're short on time, but hear about what issues are kind of in play in the conversations that are taking place among all the parties here, essentially to fairly apportion the pain, I guess, is the best way to put it. But I know there are questions like capital spending and whether the normal expectations there can be relaxed. But if you could just give us a couple of items that are being discussed so that we can think about them. And I expect what we'll do is take them up in the meeting after the one with American next week.
Absolutely, sir. So a few thoughts on and clarifications as we've gone through. I think that the first thing I will say, Parodies and Hosts provide excellent products. Our ACDBEs, I believe, are some of the strongest vendors that we have. You know, when I'm spending my dollars at the airport, when I travel or used to travel with my wife, we go early to go to Mac, and we would on the square is a great concept. So I will say the ACDBE providers provide great concepts, and long term, our program is stronger with what they bring to the table, and we're committed to working with them on that. I will say their contract also provides, Michelle has also weighed in, there are 11 total firms that are local. Those firms have multiple locations in the terminal. So to the question of how many local firms there are 11 local firms operating as sub-concessionaires, and they have multiple locations throughout the terminal. But again, they're important. All of the concessionaires are important. They're important to the airport. We have always understood how difficult it is to operate in the airport. And I think that goes to something else that's important is Host and Parodies are huge companies. The ACDBEs are smaller than that. But I also want to clarify, according to city CBI goals, this is not the same definition for a city CBI small business, right? So they are smaller than Host and Parodies for sure. But it's not the two definitions when we think about city CBI program versus the federal DBE program. They are not the same. But that being said, we are keenly aware that there is going to be a new normal coming. It's going to mean less revenue. It's going to mean different customer behaviors. And we're working through that. I think sometimes we forget we're 6 weeks into this crisis, and we're trying to make adjustments as we go. And that's exactly what we're doing. I think Ms. Johnson raised an excellent point about dining room space. It's going to be difficult, I think, or very different how dining room space is used. And we're working with the concessionaires to understand how to adjust the rent associated with those spaces. And that's what we're doing right now every day. I literally am having discussions every day with Haley and her team to think about what the appropriate actions are to take. I will say the contract that we have, both on retail and food and beverage side, does allow for those kinds of adjustments that recognize both short-term and long-term changes to the business. As Ms. Johnson said, we know last year there was an impact due to construction on the A concourse, and we provided rent relief to the A concourse providers, the ACDBE providers, in response to that. As Ms. Johnson said, we know that there's going to be different expectations from the customers and maybe from local regulations on how dining room space is going to be used. And we need to address that, and that's what we're in the process of working through right now.
Thank you, Brent. Robert, you had a comment.
Yes, thank you, Councilman. I guess my question for the what we've heard today particularly is there a way we can benchmark with other airports around the country on how they're dealing with these issues, and maybe take a look at that at a later meeting and compare, and just might give us some ideas, also some creative ideas on what others are doing?
Yes, sir.
Good. Well, I just wanted to say we now have, I believe, a good overview of the landscape in terms of the concessionaires, and it's obviously one of devastation. I would ask that in the coming weeks, if any participant in this conversation has thoughts or requests or things that they want to be taken into account as we continue our discussion, please write to me, and I will be sure to introduce them into a future conversation. And also, concessionaires, if you would spread the word about this process, we're happy to have others who might want to project a point of view sign up in the call and speak with us as well. So I think for the moment with that, I'll wrap up. Next week, we do have American Airlines, the last big piece of the puzzle, and that will be at 10 o'clock on Thursday. Thank you all for being here today.